Real estate is hard to beat oftentimes because you can create tax losses and you get positive cash flow and hopefully growth in value.
Welcome to Unstoppable Podcast with Harry Sardinas, inspiring conversations with influential millionaires, investors, thought leaders, entrepreneurs who are making a massive difference with their innovative products and services, and sharing the challenges and wisdom of how they sold their first million.
100%. And then if the entrepreneurs are in love with the conversation that we're having today and they want to find more about you, how they can find you and how this process works?
They could go to riggingthegame.com to find out about all the different companies and everything I'm involved in. They could check out my CPA firm at Nth Degree CPAs, or I have a free assessment where you can find out. I developed something called the 5 wealth types. You can figure out if you're a hustler, a gambler, an optimizer, a saver, or an outsourcer. At wealthtype.com is completely free. It'll take you less than 5 minutes.
Ah, that's fantastic. And then one more question is regarding this bit about create that wealth, because if you have control of your pension, you invest, let's say, in properties, that's going to give you cash flow. It also can give you capital growth, and you have different type of assets, and even there are stocks that can give you cash flow, they can give you profit, they can give you income, right? So what are the most favorite vehicles that you recommend entrepreneurs more easier that they can invest, that they are easy to understand? Like, for example, you're talking about these that give you 10% and you don't have to do any work. There is also when you invest in the properties and some of these schemes. Even the other day, one person in this podcast, he was talking about that he's doing self-storage, which is was buying these big warehouses, and then he was finding investor to invest in the self-storage, which is something that, well, when you rent the self-storage, you have cash flow and you can get part of it. So what vehicles are that you recommend to entrepreneurs that they're not that complex? So every money that they make, like I said, most of these business, they don't have their value properly. And they might think that, putting all the money in their own business is the best thing to do. But it's actually better to take this money, put it in another vehicles, get very good cash flow out of it. And then if you're passionate about your business and you can put this cash flow back into your business, it's fine. Don't worry, because if something happened to your business, I think you will have this vehicle producing your money to help you to live the life that you want. But sometimes entrepreneurs, it's difficult to understand about what vehicles to choose. Do you have any advice for them?
Well, my first piece of advice is to set your money rules in advance. I have 15 rules and a worksheet that I give clients to fill out and customize their money rules, because that's going to inform the types of investments and how much you're willing to allocate to a specific type of investment. For example, I have rules like my net worth won't be comprised of more than 30% of assets that I don't directly control. That's an example of a money rule. It doesn't need to be 30% for you as an individual. You can change it, but being clear on how much do I want to have active control over versus I want to be more, what people might call passive. So that's going to inform a lot of your activities. I have other things like my assets that I don't directly control will not be concentrated more than 10% in one specific type of asset. So, for example, I wouldn't have more than 10% in a exposure in a single stock, or 10% exposure in a single asset class in a single market.
Well, that's
right. So I want to crystallize these rules because they become an investment thesis of sorts, which is what you do at a fund.
I like those rules. They're amazing. You designed.
I appreciate it. I did.
Oh, wow.
And
then all your clients, they need to go through this set of rules and define what they want to apply, correct?
That's right. So about half of them are fill in the blanks. So it'll say I will not have more than underscore % of my assets in a investment I don't directly
Oh,
control.
amazing.
Okay, and I suggest a percentage, but they put in what they
Yeah,
want.
what they feel like.
So we're constructing this framework for how we're going to
Together.
make decisions.
Yeah.
That allows us to say no to a lot of things, but in more
Very-
particular, counteroffer. So I rarely actually say no to things. I say, this could be a yes if you're willing to meet this criteria I
Meet
have.
me here. If you can meet me here, I can do it.
Yep, this is my rule.
Otherwise, I'm
I
sorry,
can-
but I have some rules that I had to comply to these rules. Very good.
That's right. So there was this adage that was developed, and I had liked it initially around if you're not a hell yeah, it's a no. And I changed that to if you're not a hell yeah, it's a counteroffer. So
Absolutely.
I'm not a hell yeah, but here's what could be true.
This is-
And you'd be surprised how many deals come together
Wow, amazing.
when you tell someone, even things like speaking. Well, I'm not a hell yeah at this speaking offer, but hey, if you were willing to fly my kids out with me, then I'd be a yes, right? That's an example, right? Or,
Yeah,
hey,
absolutely.
hey, you want me to present keynote, but I'm better at Q&A. This is not me specifically, but I had a client that was like, hey, I've been asked to do a speaking arrangement, but I really invest in Q&A. It's like, well, counteroffer, hey, I would be a yes if this could be a Q&A. They said yes to it. So if it's not a hell yeah, it's a counteroffer. When you have your rules, you have significantly less cognitive burden. Now, to give you, so that's the strategy. If your strategy is wrong, the tactics don't help you. So, tactics wise, of course, I've got clients that have allocations in boring stuff, index funds, things that they're like, I'm going to focus on my business. I can't have time taken up until I get to certain. So if that's the case, you don't have time, energy, put it in boring index funds, things like that. If you're looking for tax efficiency, real estate is hard to beat oftentimes because you can create tax losses and you get positive cash flow and hopefully growth in value. Some mix of, at some point, if you go real estate, some mix of residential and commercial is ideal. I would put self-storage as an example of commercial real estate. You're going to get really favorable tax rules, at least here in the US with depreciation, a lot less effort, pretty strong positive cash flow if you can get the right deal. I can give you a bunch of examples, but it all starts with how much time, effort am I willing to put into these? People get sold this narrative of passive. It's not passive until it is. So almost every investment is not passive until some point in the future, which you won't know until you got there. Don't get fooled by the passive investment.
Yeah. And then, Dan, something that I like a lot is I always say, in the absence of rules, everybody make their own rule. So we need rules to operate. And because if there is absence of rules, and all entrepreneurs, we go in business without any rules. There's no rules. And so how can you operate? How can you manage how can you create unconventional wealth? There is no rules. There is no, you making your own rules, but they are the correct rules. They are and you making your business about selling a product. Yeah. This is completely different to like you talking about be rich and be wealthy. They're different concepts, right? But if you're a good entrepreneur and you put some rules in place, you actually can become rich and wealthy in both things. So thank you so much, Dan. This conversation has been amazing. You make my day today. That's really powerful. And guess what? I think that you can have a lot of people. I think that you guys listening this conversation that we're having today, take away what Dan shared, because it's really profound and really powerful. You don't want to be this entrepreneur that's going to be sitting and saying, man, I was turning over and selling millions. And how come after 10 years of working so my business in the coach of my mom? And some people, they don't have the energy or the mental health or strength to go back again. So they give up and they find a job, and that's the end of it. Yeah. And so it's good to be in business. It's good to be making profit. It's good to making a lot of money. But why you're riding that wave? Yeah. Trying to find a specialist like that, and to try to pave the way for you to become from entrepreneur to create an unlimited and unconditional wealth for you. Because when you're wealthy, guess what happens? You can spend time with your family, with the people that you love. This is true story because my business was doing so well. My mom got sick. You know what it took? It took 1 year and 100,000 for me to save my mom's life. Yeah, 1 year that I couldn't work. I had to travel over the world, and plus capital. Yeah, and if I haven't been an entrepreneur, I haven't had this thing planned properly, my mom would be dead, because that's what it was required to save her life. Not only the money, it needs me flying her to seeing doctors all over the world for a year until we find the right person, the right treatment, and everything. Yeah, and so that's why it's important what you're talking about, because if people plan this properly, you will have the freedom to look after the people you love if they need you. And with that note, we're gonna leave this podcast. Dan, thank you so much. That has been very powerful. And from you listening to this podcast, see you in our next episode of Unstoppable, how brave entrepreneurs like Dan break that wall and achieve the first million. Bye for now.
Follow us for more interviews with world's most influential, audacious entrepreneurs that overcame challenges and adversity, providing you with the blueprint of how they sold their first million so you can grow your business exponentially.